What happens when a bakery owner trades 16-hour days and a packed pastry case for creative freedom and a food blog? Mimi Council of Mimi's Organic Eats shares her powerful story from running one of the first organic bakeries in the country to becoming a full-time recipe developer and blogger. Whether you are a bakery owner, a home baker, or just love a good story, this episode is full of heartfelt lessons, approachable baking tips, and a special discount for Mimi's Pricing Baked Goods to Make Money guide. You'll have to check the show notes for that. I hope you love the episode as much as I loved recording it. Let's dig in. Hello, Mimi. Welcome to the podcast. How's it going today?
I'm good. Thanks so much. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have to tell you before I ask you for your fun fact, I don't do this often, but Mimi was the name of my childhood imaginary friend.
Oh my gosh, I was not expecting that at all. I thought you were going to say it was my grandma because that's what everybody says.
Oh, that's funny. No, I blamed everything that went wrong on Mimi, and I even, like, people think I'm really weird saying this, but like I could see, like, she has a shape and everything. So I knew what she looked like, and
I believe in that sort of thing.
I love it. And I used to, like, my mom would say to me, we haven't heard about Mimi in a while. Where is she? And I'd have this elaborate, and I was like 3 or 4, and I would give her this description like, oh, Mimi and the gang went to California because they had a van. They had a white van that they traveled in. Like, it was all consuming. So
ironic because I live in California.
oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't always live in California, but when I was little, that I told my mom I was going to move there literally all the time. I was like, I'm going to live in California when I grow up. I'm from Chicago originally.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So the name Mimi has a near and dear place to my heart. So
oh my gosh,
there's
that's so funny.
the fun fact that you didn't ask for, but
I know, I love it. I literally thought you were going to say I call my grandma that, and I
that's
was,
so funny. Yeah,
everybody says that, and I didn't even know that people called their grandma that until I opened a bakery, and people would walk in and they'd be like, "Oh, Mimi's, your name? Like, is this because the name of my bakery was Mimi, or it had Mimi in the name originally?"
yeah.
And so people always thought, "Is this your grandma's place?" Like if they heard I was the
Aw.
owner, grandma had started it, or
Yeah.
that I started it with my grandma or for my grandma, and I had no idea.
That's hilarious. Well, we're going to talk about your story in just a little bit, transitioning from bakery owner to food blogger, which I'm so excited to hear. But do you have a fun fact to share with the rest of us first?
I do, and it's funny because it's actually about my name.
Oh,
So
that's so crazy.
my real name is not Mimi. My real name is Meredith, but I have been Mimi since I was 1. And while Mimi kind of goes with Meredith, right? If you say, "Oh, my nickname is Mimi, my real name is Meredith," people say, "Oh, okay, sure." But it's not it has nothing to do with my name. It's because when I was little, all I would say was me, me, me all the time. I didn't speak a lot. I was really shy as a kid, so I just used me as a way to like say I wanted to go outside or say that I wanted like food. I would say me and I would point at whatever I wanted to do. And so my neighbor friend, he thought that was my name.
Oh my gosh, funny.
So he started calling me Mimi and then introduced me to his nanny as Mimi, and then my nanny started calling me Mimi, and it just kind of stuck.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 2 other kind of crazy things about that is that I was extremely shy as a kid too. And I think that's why I came up with my imaginary friends, because they really helped me to communicate with people.
Yeah.
I communicated through them. It was like I would tell stories about them. It's weird. I don't know. I have a weird brain, but
it's easier to talk about them than to talk about yourself.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, for sure. And then also my favorite girl name of all time is Meredith. If I ever had a girl, I was going to name her Meredith. I love that name. It's my favorite. So
funny.
So I think we're meant to be friends.
My mom for that name. It was my dad's pick, apparently.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's like, and I don't really meet a lot of other Merediths either, or Mimis really.
Yeah.
I feel like both of them have kind of been coming up a little bit more. There was like a Mimi on TV show or something, or even a Meredith on a TV show that I was watching, and I was like, whoa, he's like, you never see my name.
Yeah, it's true. It's pretty rare. And there is there's a blogger. Hi, Meredith, from Our Love Language is Food. She's a good friend of mine.
I know Meredith.
She's awesome.
Your name is Meredith too. And I love it because she spells it right too, because some people spell it a little bit differently.
Yeah. Yep. I love I love the name. So glad to have you
Yeah.
here. And I am excited to hear about your journey. So give us just a brief background on your blog, like when you started it, etc. And then we'll get back to your transition from bakery owner to blogger.
So I started Mimi's Organic Eats in 2021 or December, basically 2022. And that was kind of like right when I sold my bakery. And I started it because I didn't want to stop baking just because I wasn't operating and owning a bakery anymore. I knew I wanted to keep baking. So I started my blog then. While I had I wouldn't really call it a blog while I had my bakery, but our website, we shared recipes on there as well. So I'm not entirely that new to sharing recipes, but definitely new to blogging.
Okay. And when did you start your bakery?
I started that in 2011,
Oh,
so
wow.
quite a long time ago. I was one of the first solely organic bakeries in the country. So
Oh,
it was kind of a big deal back then. It was like 2011, the organic niche
yeah.
wasn't what it is today. And you couldn't just go into the grocery store and you're like, I want to buy some organic cookies. You couldn't really do that back then. I think like really you could buy Newman's Own, like the copycat Oreos, like they've been on grocery stores shelves for a long time, but there really wasn't, all the things you could buy today, like at Whole Foods and at
Yeah.
World Market. There's like you could buy organic chocolate chip cookies anywhere,
Yeah.
really. But you couldn't do that then. And so I really started it because I, saw that there was a hole in that market, right? Where it's like I was doing an organic lifestyle and buying organic ingredients, and yeah, you could buy butter and sugar and flour and all that stuff. That was pretty easy back then, but you couldn't be like, I want a slice of organic carrot cake and I don't want to make it
Yeah.
myself. There wasn't really a lot of options for that at all. So
Yeah.
that was why I started the bakery.
So you ran it for about 10 years, is that right?
Yeah, a little
Okay.
bit over 10 years, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then what made you decide that you wanted to be done with the bakery and move into something different?
Um, the bakery was a labor of love, and I think anyone that has ever baked for a living, or even if you've worked in a kitchen, like that it's a lot of hard work. It's really long hours, it's really long days. Even if you don't own it, like you could work in a kitchen and you could spend 15 hours there easily. And that was kind of one of the reasons where I was like, gosh, I'm at the bakery for 16 hours every day, 7 days a week. And
Oof.
it was easy to do that. It was
Oh
just
my
easy because
gosh.
we were busy and we had a lot of stuff going on. And where I live is I'm in a remote mountain town, a tourist town, ski town. So it's busy, and we get influx of people on the weekends, holidays, that sort of thing. But it's also really transient, and so it's incredibly difficult to find staff because people want to move here for the fun of it, right?
Mm,
They want to move here for the mountains and the skiing and the climbing and the lakes and all that kind of stuff, which I fully support. But also, a lot of people don't want to work. And
yeah.
so that was something that I struggled with from the very beginning. When I first opened the bakery, I worked there by myself for basically the first year with the help of my
Wow.
husband, who is amazing. And he got laid off from his job like a few months after we opened the bakery, and so he just kind of ended up working for me, which was great. It worked out perfectly, but we didn't really hire someone until about a year. And when I put out my first hiring sign, I was like super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so fun. I get to hire someone. They're gonna be really excited about working in a bakery where we just get to bake all day and serve people delicious cookies and cakes and things. And I literally was like, it was like crickets when I put out a hiring sign.
Oh,
And I was like, am I missing something? How is it so hard to? I thought I would have applicants. Like I thought I would have a handful to choose from.
yeah.
And eventually I did get some. And the first woman I hired, she was really great. I liked her a lot. But that I didn't really know that it was going to be that challenging for the staff, like to find staff. And, as we grew, we kind of had a staff about 8 to 10 was kind of like an average staff number. And like people were always coming and going, always had like a handful of people that were a little bit more full time and then a
Mm,
handful that were, more part time. Um, but it was just really, really hard to find good help and really hard to find people, especially having the bakery that I had. We focused solely on organic ingredients, but we also served vegan, gluten-free options
Oh,
too. So
nice.
we wanted to be that full service bakery for people that could come in, like no matter if you had a food allergy, no matter if you had a dietary restriction, we wanted everybody to feel welcome. Like our motto was dessert for everyone. So if there was cookies, there was also vegan cookies, there was also gluten-free cookies. So it was a little bit more in depth because we were worried about, being mindful of allergies and making sure the staff was knowledgeable on vegan and gluten-free information, and like not everybody was familiar with that kind of stuff. So it could have been overwhelming for some employees. I understand. But I also had like books and training, and I was very organized and detailed and stuff. So um, I made it as easy as possible for people. And some people thrived, and some people just didn't, like
Yeah.
sometimes the customer would be like, oh, what's vegan today? And the girl would be like, nothing. And I'm like, hey, in the back, running out from like the open kitchen in the
Oh.
back, "Oh, you have this and this and this and this that's vegan for you."
Oh my gosh.
So I had a lot of challenges with staff
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah.
And after 10 years and you're still having like the same challenges with staff, it just gets like really, really frustrating because I just felt like I had to be there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't you
Well,
can't
and
virtually pass that off. People have to be in the store with you.
yeah. But people that are in the store, that was my thing too. It's like, I don't have to be there all the time, but it's like, I also did because depending on who was there, I'm like, can I trust this person
Right.
to ensure that someone's not going to get sick because they used the wrong flour when they were baking because they weren't paying attention? Or, can I trust them to take an order properly and then we make somebody the right cake because like we were juggling, all these different options, which is something that set us apart, and our community like was so grateful for that. Like
Yeah.
I had people that were like, "Oh my gosh, I can actually get a wedding cake that I want, and that's delicious because you
Mm.
guys make these options." And so it was just challenging, to like want to be there 100% for my customers, but then also trying to have that time for myself too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard balance that you were navigating. So you got to a point where you realized you needed a change. So what happened then?
Yeah. So, well, COVID happened. And so that was hard because of where we were located, especially because one of the things that happened during COVID was like our community or whatever was like told second homeowners and tourists, like, don't come here.
Oh.
And so that like made it, people weren't going out anyways, but people were doing takeout. And sometimes the restaurants were kind of actually, some of them were doing a little bit better because of that. It's people were like eating out or whatever, but it was really challenging because more than half the houses in this area that we live are second homeowners. And so if we don't have that
Wow.
business, the community here is like really struggling. So that was super challenging. But we ended up making it through. We actually got some help from the Barstool Fund, which was amazing and an
Mm.
amazing experience that we went through for that. But we did make it through COVID. I ended up hiring back some of my staff because I put everybody on unemployment during that time because I was like, I want to make sure you guys getting paid. Don't come in if you don't want to, all that kind of stuff. And then when we opened back up, I was like, if you want to come back, you can. I wasn't like forcing people to come back. But then it made it even worse, really, the staffing challenges that we were having. It was even
Oh.
harder to get people to
Yeah.
work. So we stayed open for a little while after that, but I was just like, this is even worse. And I was like, now I'm here. Like now I'm just chained to the bakery, where before I was like, okay, I'm there all the time, but I would try to take a day off a week. And I was just like, it's just incredibly hard. And the staff was really what did it for me, where I was like, I can't keep relying on people that don't care about their jobs, right? I was like, I care about my job,
Hmm.
and I care about like the work that we're doing here, where it's like, yeah, we're not saving lives, but we're making people smile, and we're giving people cakes and cookies to celebrate like huge milestones in their life, like their weddings and their baby showers and their anniversaries and all that kind of stuff. And so it is meaningful work, right? In a way. And I want to work with people that care just a little.
Yeah.
Like I
Absolutely.
get it. A job is a job, and especially for some people, a job is a little bit more of a job than it is for others, and that's fine. But it was just like a really long time coming with a lot of just staffing problems where I was just ready to work with some people that were a little bit more mature, cared a little bit more about the mission, whatever that may be. And so that's where I was like, it's been over 10 years and we're still having these issues that it's kind of not going to change. And as a business owner, there's times when you have to kind of step back from your passion and like what you love doing and decide if you need to make a change like I did then, where it's
Yeah.
like it's been over 10 years and this is still happening. Do I want to keep going like this? And I was like, not really, because this is kind of making me hate baking.
Yeah, and you don't want that. And I think 10
No, and
years,
no, I don't want that, where it's
yeah.
like, yeah, it's like the big picture, sure, still love it. And I still love the big picture of a bakery. I mean, who doesn't? It's
Yeah.
like you walk in, you get a sweet treat, everyone's all friendly and nice. That's how it should be.
Mhm.
But the reality was, it's like I was in there for 16 hours every single day. I was making hundreds and hundreds of like sprinkle cookies, these cookies. And it's like, how many more of these cookies can I, like, our best selling cookies? Sure, of course. Yeah, I have to have them every day. But it's like, how many more sprinkle cookies can I make before I hate them?
Yes, that's a lot of sprinkle cookies. 10 years is a
Yeah.
good run too. I think that's something to be proud of. You put in a solid decade of running a bakery. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, so I ended up selling the bakery too at that time. I had posted it for sale for a while, few months, and then I actually ended up selling it. So it was a little bit bittersweet because it got to stay open for the community.
Oh,
But it was weird
wow. I
being there
bet.
and not
Yeah.
being there. Yeah, and so the woman that bought it, I know her. I've known her for a long time in town, and she kept it open. She just closed it a couple months ago
She did. How do
because
you
of
feel
staff.
about that? Is that weird?
It's a little bit
Yeah.
weird, but it's also like it's kind of like the same. She was having the same problems I was having, and she just
Mhm.
didn't even last as long as I did. Where she was just like, I can't find anyone that is can help me, and she's like, and that's where she just closed it just like 2 months ago, and she's like, I can't do it because I can't book all these weddings for this coming summer and not have anyone to
Yeah.
work, because then I won't be able to come through for these brides, and that's going to be a terrible thing.
Mhm.
So I get it. It's like I get it. It's just hard
Yeah.
have a business and have it doing well, and you can't really even succeed in it because you don't have the staff
Yeah.
that is
That's hard.
required, because it's a lot of manpower.
Mm. So obviously, blogging is a natural fit after you left your bakery. How did you decide on blogging? Did you always have that in your mind? Did someone mention it to you?
No, actually, I didn't. I like never really thought about it. Like one of my friends is Julianne from Beyond Frosting. She has actually been. I've known her for a super long time because we both used to work in action sports before we were in the food industry. And when I opened my bakery, I think she had just started her blog, and she was like, "I'm a food blogger," and she like did an interview with me, and she'd always come into the bakery and support and buy stuff. And I just never really understood what she did, to be honest. Like I knew that she did it, and and she like I'd been to her website and tried to support and everything, but I didn't really understand it.
Mhm.
And so I kind of knew what it was, from the beginning of the bakery, but I didn't really understand. I was like, people are baking all this stuff and they're just taking pictures of it and putting it on the internet. It's kind of just weird, like like it doesn't make any sense. Like, who are they giving all this stuff to? Is what I was wondering. And so I have written 3 cookbooks as my time as a bakery owner. And so I love writing books and sharing recipes. And I really want to keep doing that. And so my customers at my bakery were really what pushed me to do that. That was like kind of how I said at the beginning, where we had our website for the bakery, right? So we list all our flavors and things you guys could look and order and that sort of stuff. And customers were constantly asking for recipes, or obviously recipes from the bakery, but also like anything. They just wanted more from the bakery. So I started sharing recipes on the bakery's website. And it wasn't a blog. It was just like, oh, here's a recipe. And it was like just posted, on the website, and people could kind of look. And so I'd been sharing kind of recipes there for a while. And so it was familiar to me just because of that. But it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't really blogging. And because I've written a few cookbooks and I really love that, it was kind of just like a natural fit where I was like, I need to have like my own website that's not affiliated with the bakery.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of how that started.
Yeah. So you started the blog. How soon after the bakery closed?
Well, I kind of started like immediately. I mean, maybe I had it for a few months before the
Okay.
bakery closed. I can't really remember. I was like, I need to just move recipes onto my own website was kind of
Yeah.
like what I was thinking. So
Okay.
it was like, and I think I did that when I put the bakery up for sale, you know,
Yeah.
where I was like, what am I going to do after this? I'm not really sure. Um, so that was kind of when I started that.
And then
So
you dove right in. Did you just, from there, it was like no looking back, or did it take you a while to gain momentum?
Yeah, well, I kind of had some momentum because, like I said, we've had, customers at the bakery that have been following along for a while.
Yep.
And so I kind of just jumped right in to that from there. And luckily, I did have people that knew me already, and I had a social media following already from the bakery. So I kind of just changed over my Instagram bakery page, and I didn't sell that with the bakery. I kept it.
Yeah.
And so that had kind of built a larger following. So I kept that and kind of made announcements there, and then just kind of started sharing my own recipes on my site.
And it looks like you're a solely organic baking recipe site, right? So
Yeah,
it's the
so
same
it's
theme.
same theme, really. It's called Mimi's Organic Eats because I do a little bit more than just baking. We do savory recipes too. And then I also do dog recipes, which is something that
Oh,
not a lot of people do. And I get made fun of a lot of time for that, but I love it. And there's a lot of people out there that love it too. But of course, I had to keep with the same organic niche because that's just how I live and the ingredients that I buy. And sometimes it's challenging if people are baking and you want to make a certain recipe and then somebody calls for a certain food dye or a certain sprinkle or something that doesn't really fit into your lifestyle. And so that's kind of how I differentiate myself a little bit because, if you find something on my website and you're living, an organic lifestyle and you don't want artificial colors or you don't want anything like that, you can make it
hmm,
look exactly like that. And I think that's a big deal,
that's
especially now,
huge.
with
Yeah.
kind of shifting their mindset and finally the red number
Yes.
40 ban or whatever that is. I mean, people could make the choice this whole time, but hopefully that'll kind of just help people make the choice
I need to
sooner.
look through your website because I've recently discovered that I have an allergy to a handful of different oils.
Oh, yeah. I
And
have a whole seed oil free
oh,
category.
oh my gosh, you're my new favorite person. Okay, this is awesome
But
because
I actually stopped eating them like
you
a couple
did.
years ago. Yeah. So which ones are you allergic to?
Well, it started out with soybean oil, which I feel like is in
Yep.
every baked good on the planet.
It's
It's
yeah, well,
crazy.
processed ones for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it turned into sunflower oil and then coconut oil of all things. And then,
Oh my
uh,
gosh, coconut oil?
yeah, I had a reaction
That
to
is insane.
coconut. It's so
In my 10
strange.
years of owning a bakery, I've only had one person ever come in saying they had a coconut allergy. Like, I've
Really?
never heard of that. That's
And
crazy.
I can eat other forms of coconut, which is weird. So I don't know
Just
what
not
that is
oil.
all about, but it seems like the oils keep compounding. So it's like I could have sunflower oil 6 months ago and now I can't. So I'm like, well, let's see how this goes. I might soon be allergic to I can eat canola oil still, but it might hop on the
That
bandwagon.
is
I have no
so
idea.
interesting that you're fine with canola oil, but not coconut
I
oil.
know. I know. It's so weird what my
Weird.
body is not liking. But yeah, it's been really hard to navigate that because, like I said, it's in every single baked good. I look at the packaging and I'm
Well,
like,
or it's like it's in sprinkles too. That's like the seed
oh
oils are like
gosh, I
the
didn't
biggest
even know
vendor in
that.
sprinkles. Yeah, even in like the plant-based diet sprinkles, like I am a huge fan and constantly push India Tree, which is like one of the best ones. That's what we use in my bakery for over a decade. They have pretty much like every color of sprinkle, bright, pastel,
Oh,
rainbow. They have everything you could need. They have like snowflake decorating things and hearts and like all the holiday stuff. And it's all, and they have their nature's colors line. That's like they make both. They make artificial colors and then they do their nature's colors line. So that's the one you got to look for.
okay.
But they use seed oils in their stuff. It's not seed oil free, it's free of artificial colors.
Oh
Like
my
there's no
gosh.
sprinkles out there that I have found that are free of artificial colors and free of seed oils.
That's
And so
so crazy.
it's crazy. It's hard. So, if you're on the seed oil free category on my website, you won't see anything with sprinkles, but like you can use food dyes. And, I use like beet powder and
Mm,
spirulina and stuff like that, where you can still get colorful things for celebrations without that sort of stuff.
yeah. So good to know. And I learned all this the hard way. I have a favorite ice cream that I was able to eat in April, I think was the last time I had it without getting sick. And then I had it in early May and had a reaction. I was like, what? What am I reacting to? And I looked at the ingredients, and sure enough, soybean oil was in this ice cream because it has like little
Oh,
brownie chunks. And
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because
so,
it's used as a
oh,
stable. You could use it as a stabilizer. Soy is
yeah,
really
I
the
hate
thing that
it. I hate that
is.
it's everywhere, but it is everywhere.
Yep.
Like candy has it. I mean, oh, palm oil I also reacted to recently.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's in so many
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
anyway, I digress, but I'm going to check out your site
Yeah.
because it's going to be super helpful for me. Thank you. And then,
Yes. Well, yeah, I've been doing that for a little while now, but it's like I've had recipes on my site for longer, and it's like I'm not opposed to sharing things, with seed oils if it's made better,
yeah,
like with because people want sprinkles and like, my husband
definitely.
loves the Newman's own organic Oreos. Like I was saying, the ones that we bought at the grocery store for a long time, he loves those, but I think they have palm oil in them.
Oh,
And so I've been eating them in quite a while either, but it's still a much better Oreo substitute,
yeah.
than the regular ones that have other things that are worse.
Yeah, that's good to know. Good to be educated.
Yeah.
So how did the transition go from bakery owner to blogger? I mean, obviously there's a lot of similar skills that you could carry over, like obviously the baking.
Yes.
And
The
then,
bacon is like the
yeah,
easiest.
that's the easy part. Telling stories about your food, because I'm sure you've done that from the beginning, and just
Yep.
kind of having a knack for trends and knowing the things that people want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that part of it actually is a little bit more fun as a blogger because like knowing what people want is key to, having a successful bakery because you have to have stuff that people want to buy. And here's just like a little funny story. Like the first year that we were open, like I didn't make plain chocolate chip cookies. Like I refused to do it because I was like, you can buy a plain chocolate chip cookie at a gas station these days. Like it's no fun. Like we were doing like all these different fun cookies and a little bit more like gourmet and elevated, but I'd still get people come in all the time and like mostly tourists and like people that weren't as familiar with the bakery as the locals, and they would just come to the counter and be like, can I get a dozen chocolate chip cookies? And
you're like,
I'd be like,
no.
you can even look at the menu, we don't have that today. And so in year two, I was like, okay, we got to give the people what we want. And we created a chocolate chip sandwich cookie, which was kind of like
Oh,
an elevated version of chocolate chip, but it became our best selling cookie. And it was just,
oh,
people would just walk in and order it. And they're like, oh, I'll just get that one. And so you got to make stuff that people want, that's familiar, but you also want to make it a little bit different because you got to stand out. And when you have a bakery, you have that third thing of making sure that it's profitable, right? And you can make delicious things and things that people want all day long, but if you're not pricing it correctly,
yeah,
you're not going to make any money. And that was something that I was like very much into at the bakery. Like I'm super nerdy about costing and our
mm,
margins and making sure that we were making money on every single thing we were making because otherwise there's no point to make it.
yeah.
And I actually have a course on my website that I how to make money. It's like actually make money selling baked goods. I think is what it's
Oh,
called. So it's like fun if you would just have like a cottage kitchen or you just want to like start selling cakes to your friends and you're not sure how to price stuff. I feel like it's one of the biggest things that bakery owners or even restaurateurs like fail at. Like if you're not knowledgeable in that space, like smaller businesses in the food space, like if you're not pricing your food properly, you're gonna lose money.
yeah,
Like it's really simple. And I actually do some consulting on the side about that. It's just something that I'm passionate about because sometimes it's like it's not about how good your cookie is. You can
yeah,
have the best cookie in the world, and if you're pricing it wrong, you're gonna fail, right?
yeah.
And
That's
so
really
that's one of
interesting.
the things that sometimes at the bakery, like we test out new things, we make things, and then I'd be like, we can't sell this because I can't price it properly for it to sell,
Mm,
right? It doesn't matter how good it is. It doesn't matter if people want it. No one's going to pay this amount of money for it. in order to make money because it takes too long to make, or it has too many ingredients, or this or that. And so there were definitely times when we had recipes or things that we, couldn't serve, or, we made it one time maybe for someone because they asked, and someone was like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. Why isn't it on the menu? We can't do that. And that's why. So as a food blogger, that's like not even a worry at all, which is kind of fun because you can kind of make exactly what people want. And literally, like, they're out there buying their own ingredients and they're going to make it no matter what. So it's kind of fun, but I also like really love that part. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's both, but I get to make, like, jokingly, I get to make all the things that, ever wanted without worrying about the costing.
Yeah. Does that translate over into keyword research for you? Like,
Yeah, that's like
yeah.
basically your costing as a
Yeah,
food blogger
exactly. Yep.
is your keyword research, because it's like you could make something delicious and that it looks so pretty and you take the best photograph of it, but if you don't package it properly, right?
Yeah,
It
it's the
never
same
no one will ever
thing.
see it. Yeah. So that's the vice for there, and that's kind of like what I'm dealing with now. I wouldn't say I'm as good as key research as I am at costing for a
But you
bakery.
have that in your DNA, obviously, that intrigues
Yeah.
you and lights you up. So maybe with a little more time, that will become a
Yeah.
passion for
I'm
you as
getting
well.
more into it,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't call myself as proficient at it yet.
Yeah, you're getting there. So, what about the storytelling, telling stories about your food? Did that come naturally once you started blogging?
Yeah, that was a fairly easy thing to translate over, especially in my niche of like the organic space. I feel like it's pretty easy to talk about that food and why I chose those ingredients right, or like how you can easily make a better choice just by swapping out your sugar or flour at the grocery store.
Yeah, I can see where that would be so fun for you, just especially being in a bakery where you're talking to people all the time. I think that naturally lends to talking about what you're making. And I don't know, I would love that. I would love talking about baked goods all day, every day.
And people in the bakery, they want to know, and it's
Yeah,
like pretty funny.
exactly.
Yeah, and it's like they want to know. It's like they want to know where the recipe came from, or they
Hmm.
also are just like, what flour? Like, the questions I got all the time were like, what sugar are you using? What flour are you using? What this are you using?
Yeah.
Those were like the big things, because people are like, I want to recreate this exactly at home. And like, I share a lot of bakery recipes now. Now that the bakery closed just a couple months ago, I have, um, I actually got all the recipes back because they closed. And so, like, before, when I had sold it, I wasn't able to share like
Oh.
certain recipes because they went with the sale of the bakery.
Ah.
So we had like super pop, like our number one selling cookie was what we called the mammoth chocolate chip at the bakery. This came after our chocolate chip sandwich cookie, but it was like another play on giving people the best chocolate chip cookie, but making it different, right? And so this had a secret ingredient in it, and something that we never told our customers. And if they
Ah.
looked at the ingredients in the back, like, if they looked at the ingredients on the package of the cookies, they never would have figured out what it was because of the ingredients that were listed. But the recipe is now on my website, and it's caramel chocolate chip cookies made with homemade caramel. So we made caramel pretty much daily at the bakery. It was a daily thing. And we were making caramel sauce that we put like on our cupcakes and our cakes and stuff. But then we were also making chewy caramel candies. So those are like those classic little, wrapped caramels
Yeah.
that you buy at the grocery store. We were making those from scratch every single day, but instead of making them into candies, all we were doing is pouring that caramel onto a silicone mat, and then we were melting it and putting it inside cookies. And
Ooh.
so it basically turned like a plain chocolate chip cookie into like a really buttery cookie that had like just like a little extra flavor. And like
Oh
you
my
couldn't tell there was
gosh.
caramel in the cookie, right? Because we had melted it down. So it
Mm.
mixed the batter. And so the cookie itself just looked kind of dark, kind of looked like a brown butter cookie, but it wasn't brown butter, because people would ask, is there brown butter in this? And we'd be like, no. And my caramel recipe only has three ingredients. Like, we were making true caramel. So where we were dry burning the sugar, that was the technique. Dry burn the sugar, add the butter, add the cream. So if you look at the back of the chocolate chip cookies,
Ah.
the ingredients were butter, sugar, cream. So the only kind of weird ingredient was cream, right? That maybe might not be in a chocolate chip cookie, but maybe it would be. So people could never figure it
Oh
out. And
my
they were like
gosh.
always asking about it. They were like, what's in these cookies? Like, what's different about, they just thought like we had the best chocolate chip cookie ever. And that was the goal, right?
Hilarious. Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm so starving right now. I
So
need a cookie. That is brilliant
Oh yeah,
and
I literally just
delicious.
shared that recipe like last month on the website because that was one of the ones, like especially when the bakery closed. Like I had people sending me messages on Instagram and they were like, "Can you finally share this cookie recipe? We need to know."
People are just waiting for that moment.
We were, and so I was
Oh,
able to share it. So I talk about that on the bakery, or talk about that on the website, how that recipe, was from the bakery. So those kind of recipes are really fun to share now because they have a lot of history and a lot of story behind them.
oh, I love that so much.
Yeah.
So, what else was hard as you became a food blogger? Mentioned that keyword research isn't your favorite thing
Yes.
yet,
Not
but
yet, but I'm getting
yeah.
there.
But was that hard to begin with, and what else was difficult?
That was hard, but then also like figuring out that more, because like in a bakery, if you make more cookies and you have customers, you will sell them, right? So like more baking, more cookies, more things kind of translates to more money,
Mm,
right? If you're blogging, if you're just like cranking out recipes and like posting all these things, but you're not really doing other things, it doesn't really translate to more, right?
yeah.
So that was something that I kind of had to learn where it was like people and were asking me for recipes and it's like I come from baking from 16 hours a day. So like at first when I was like, oh, I could post a recipe every couple of days, it's like super easy for me. It's like no problem at all. But if you're not doing the keyword research and making your posts, stand out in that way, that's not really going to do anything for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that you don't know
Yeah.
until you get in and you learn the hard way.
Yeah.
There's such a balance with knowing how much to create and what to publish and what not to, what to hold back on.
Exactly. And yeah, that was kind of hard for me at first because I was like, I'm just used to baking all the time. Like, that's the easy part.
Yeah. And what about photography? Was that something that came naturally?
Yeah, so I'd actually been doing photography for a long time because when we first opened the bakery, I have a lot of friends in this town that are photographers. Like I mentioned, I'm in a tourist town, a remote mountain town, so I have a lot of action sports photographer friends. Like they shoot snowboarding or skiing or climbing or I have wedding photographers, right? That sort of thing. So I had friends at first taking photos for me all the time, and I was like, "Hey, I need help. Like, we need website photos. We need this." And we do photo shoots at the bakery, and I was always kind of like, meh. I'm not like I was like happy because my friends were helping me out and doing me a favor, but I was never like fully excited, and I was always there trying to be like, well, what if you do this, and what if you like do this? And my husband was like, you need to do this yourself, and
Mm,
he got me a camera, and he was like, you need to just figure this out and do this yourself because you're never happy with whoever else is doing it. And so I just ended up learning that a long time ago. And I've been taking the photos for the bakery, for our website, for Instagram, for ads, for all that kind of stuff for a long time. So that part was like really easy to
oh,
me.
that's
And like
great.
that's honestly how I was making money during COVID too.
Nice.
I
Yeah,
was doing like freelance photography stuff for brands and stuff like that. So I've been doing photography for a long time.
that's great because I think that can be a huge learning curve if you go in not knowing photography at
Yeah,
all. It's like,
I've been doing
whoa.
it for a long time too, and so I was pretty lucky that's like that is literally even easier than baking for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, so and that's super fun,
that's
and
good.
I'm doing more video now, so that's something that I hadn't done as much of at the bakery because I have a YouTube channel that I just started last year, so I'm doing quite a
Nice.
bit more of that. So
That's great. And then are
yeah.
there any things about the bakery that you miss?
Yes, definitely. Though, when you're at home, it's like nice to be at home and by yourself or, work at your own pace, especially for me where I was like kind of almost needing that to like need that break from the staff that was
Mm.
like either constantly asking me questions or constantly letting me down in some way where I was just like do it myself mode. So at first it was like really great and fun and that sort of thing. And I get to hang out with my dog every day, which is like amazing because I'm like that weird person where it's like my dog friend. So that's really great. But you don't get like those in-person connections, like you were saying, like people want to talk about your baked goods and that sort of thing. But it's not really that talking about it. It's more just like seeing those like regular customers that I knew for so long and seeing them walk in the door and just walking in. And like the second they walk in, they're just smiling, you know, because it's like they're in their happy place and they may just be on their lunch break, or they might have just like went to an appointment or something that wasn't that fun, and this is kind of like their way to, you know, make their day just like a little bit better. And maybe they're just getting like one cookie. I had regular customers that I literally saw like every single day,
Mm.
but she'd be like, I just need 2 cookies. I'm not going to buy a ton because then I don't want to have them in my house, right? But she'd come in every single day and she'd get her 2 cookies.
Nice.
And that was her thing. And so that kind of stuff is, stuff that I'll miss, is like those people that I got to know over the years, the people that like supported my business from the very beginning, that just really cared so much about the recipes and the things that I physically made, most of that stuff,
Yeah.
So that's really hard. And then knowing that it's not going to be there for those people to like have their favorite pumpkin pie or their favorite apple pie for Thanksgiving, like where
Yeah.
they used to have that for 10 years or even more, right? Um, that's kind of sad that
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I'm letting those people down a little bit.
I mean,
um,
no, it's not
but
you. You're not letting them
no,
down,
I
but
know,
I
but
know
I'm
what you
like,
mean.
you can make it at home. Can I tell you? Can I walk you through it? Can I Zoom with you?
Yeah.
Help you?
Have you ever considered that, doing like cooking classes, or maybe you do?
I did. So I did it during COVID, actually, to make
Okay.
money. Like during COVID, when we were struggling, like I wasn't making any money from the bakery, so I was doing like all these different things to make money, and that was one of the things that I was doing like Zoom cooking classes, and it was honestly kind of fun. Um, and I was doing it through a platform. I think that started like right around that time. I don't know. They had reached out to me, but they shut down a while ago. I forgot what it was called, and so I kind of just like stopped doing it around then. And that's kind of when I was like, maybe I should just do YouTube videos, because then people can kind of watch them
Yeah.
whenever, and
Yep.
then that kind of helps too. So I kind of just transitioned to that. But the live stuff is kind of fun too, because people get to interact a little bit more and they get to ask the questions being there. But if anyone bakes my recipes, they know that if they ever ask a question on YouTube or send a DM or an email, like I always respond,
Yeah.
So I'm always there for people if they're, making something and they need help or they have a question. And even if you're messaging on Instagram, I'm usually pretty quick.
And in person, I imagine you get just that immediate feedback that we don't get blogging, right? Or
Yeah.
we get the bad feedback blogging. We don't
Bad
get the
feedback
positive
at a
feedback. Yeah.
you get the bad feedback at a bakery too, and it's almost like, I feel like it's like those funny posts that people are always sharing, like, oh, this recipe came out terrible, but I switched to this
Yes.
for this, and I did this, and I didn't do this. That's kind of like the bakery equivalent of that is like, I went into the bakery and I got this cookie, and this person was rude to me in line. Like, it's like not
Oh,
even like,
what?
it's not even like anything to do with
Oh,
the bakery. It's like someone is like having a terrible day
oh,
and they just go complain about it on the internet,
yeah.
right? That's, we got our fair share of those as well, where it was like, didn't have anything to do with the baked goods. Someone is just clearly upset about something and they're just on your Yelp
Unleashing. Yep.
unleashing
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. I suppose.
So you get it both times, right?
Right.
Or it's like, someone's like, this cookie was rock hard, and it's like, oh, did you leave your bag of cookies open at
Yeah.
8,000 altitude for 2 hours? Of course it's rock hard.
Oh, hilarious.
Stuff like that. That's kind of like the,
Yeah.
the blogging equivalent of, I just decided to change all this stuff and not listen to anything that you said.
Right. And I suppose it's worse to hear it in person because you actually have to sit there and listen to it. But in the blogging
You
world, you can choose not to
Yeah,
listen
you
to
can
it.
choose to just block them, or,
Yeah.
just like ignore it or whatever. And it's like kind of like out of sight, out of mind. Whereas like sometimes we've had, 10 plus years, you see it all. We've had people get very upset about things that were not our fault, that they did, that were, that sort of thing. We also have seen people get upset about things that were our faults. And then
Sure.
it's terrible when that happens, right? Where it's like a delivery gone wrong and something happened to someone's wedding cake in the transit process, and that wasn't our fault, but we're responsible
Yeah.
in it, and we do, and we did, and we did, and we make it right. But that's just what you do.
Yep.
When you have a business and you have people working for you, like stuff just happens
It
sometimes.
does. Yep. It does.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite parts of food blogging now that you're over on this side?
Now that I'm over on this side. It's really the creativity part. Like I said, that part of it, like as a bakery owner, you don't get that as much, because you have to be mindful of making stuff that people want, right? And that's like a lot of classic things. And then also making things that are going to make you money because that's like your main thing. And so getting to be a little bit more creative and making a little bit more different desserts is really fun. And I honestly have had a lot of practice with that because whenever someone would mess something up at the bakery, they're like, oh, I put double the amount of cranberries in this, or I put this in this, or I don't know what's in here. I would like turn it into like a mini chopped TV show in the bakery and I would make something out of it. And then sometimes we'd sell it like as a special because that is better than just purely throwing something away, right? Or we'd give it away to regular customers because that's like marketing efforts, right? That someone that comes in all the time, they got something special that no one else got, So there's ways to use up your waste like that we would do all the time. But now it's, I just get to do that. I'm not usually throwing a bunch of stuff in, not knowing what I'm doing in my kitchen, but I get to decide what kind of like cool and different, interesting things that I want to make. So
Yeah.
that's super fun. And then I've always really been into the photography. So that I get to just do much more on a daily basis now than I
Yeah.
did before.
Yep. And then obviously the benefit that I think a lot of my listeners are wanting and seeking and loving is the time freedom.
Yes, definitely. That is something that I like. It took me like a little while to get used to. It was like weird, like not waking up and like having to be somewhere all day and not coming home, like getting up, packing a lunch, going to work, not coming back till it's dark.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I think like the first year that I didn't have the bakery, I like didn't even set an alarm ever. Like I didn't ever wake up before I just like woke up. It was just like so luxury feeling.
Yeah. I never
And
use
just
an alarm. I haven't in so many years. I love it.
yeah. I mean, I don't use one anymore, but it was just like that weird thing that
Yes,
like
transition
the
from
transition of like
yeah.
not having to do that and like not having to get up and then just having a leisurely morning. That's something I like.
Mm,
I'm just so grateful for because it's something I hadn't had for so long.
yeah.
Um, and it's like before the bakery, I worked a 9 to 5. I worked in action sports, so it's like to be at the office around 9. It's like you still have to kind of get up and do stuff. Um, And so now it's just kind of like wake up when I want to, I make breakfast, I walk my dog, I work out, it's like, and then
Yeah.
I start my day, which is nice. And having those flexible working hours is just really nice.
The leisurely morning is
Yeah,
glorious, isn't it? I
it's
love it. Oh,
just,
yes.
I wouldn't trade that ever.
Mm,
But it's like my bakery too, and we were a dessert bakery only, so we opened at 11. So like even though I was like, yeah, I get up early, and I was in there at like 7 or
yeah.
like 8. It wasn't like 2 a.m. shifts. Like I had worked at a bakery before where if you were baking, you were there at 2 a.m. because they opened at 7, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was one of the nice things about my shop when I opened. I was like, I'm not doing that. I was like, no one can function like that.
Yeah.
We opened at 11 and that was when we opened. She's like, no one needs a cookie before 11.
Yeah. That's funny. So for people listening, because I know some people have bakeries or maybe they're in the food space of some sort outside of blogging. Do you have any tips for them from going to that, whatever it might be, to being a food blogger?
Yeah. So if you guys are, if you have a bakery or you're baking just like cakes out of your house and you maybe want to stop, doing that as often, the best thing would be to do is to start your website first and, don't not have an email list. That was one of the things that I had an email list at the bakery and it was pretty large, but I sold it with the bakery. So I was like
Mm,
starting from scratch from my email list. And so that was hard because that, you know, all those people and stuff that I knew over 10 years, some of them followed me, but it's just not the same, right, as having
yeah.
that list. And so, like, if you can keep that list, that's amazing. Like if it's your shop and you're not selling it, right, or if it's just your home business, like make sure you're getting people's email lists when you ring them up for their cake. And all the apps, like Square, whatever, like they have things where you can easily get those. It's super easy, so make sure you're taking advantage of that. And then you can always start your website and do it on the side while you're still
Mm,
baking.
yeah.
And that's one of the best things that you can do. Also start taking photos and investing in
Yes.
that side of it as well. That will only help your other business too, right? It's like if you're selling baked goods, you got to have pretty photos for people to want to buy them too. So that's also a win-win. You can't ever go wrong with investing in, photography.
Yeah, you really can't. And then also, we've kind of touched on this, but the trends, knowing what people are loving, what's seasonal, what's
Yeah.
just popular right now. So you can translate that to your blog as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's like all those, bestseller seasonal items, like those will transition into, the seasonal things that recipes that you want to be sharing during that time. It's really the same thing. And it's kind of even like the same timelines too and everything, so it's like by the time you start being like, oh, pre-ordering apple pies for Thanksgiving is like kind of when you want to start promoting your apple pie recipes and all
Right.
that, fall stuff. It's really just the same thing. It's just a different way,
Yeah.
different platform of promoting it.
Do you have any overarching business tips that you learned from running a bakery that anyone listening would benefit from hearing?
Um, it would really just be, your costing, right? Like that's my biggest takeaway and my biggest tip for bakery owners or even any business owner. Like if you're not familiar with your costing, you're doing yourself a big disservice. And like some people pass that task off and that's fine as long as you have someone that's capable. But I've worked with people and like I said, done consulting for bakeries and stuff, and it's amazing how many people like don't like know what they pay per ounce for sugar. And and that's like one of the biggest things where it's like, oh well, yeah, I think I pay this, but like when was the last time you updated your costing? If you've been updated in like 6 months, then that's a problem too because your vendors are changing pricing on
Hmm.
you all the time, so you really just have to be up on that costing to make sure that you're making a profit on all that hard work because it is so much hard work.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Is there anything else that you feel like food bloggers, either in your shoes that you were in or just generally for food bloggers speaking, that they should know?
um no, I mean really just like baking from scratch doesn't have to be perfect. That's what I would say. People want to be able to make something at home, and I think just showing them that they can do it and not worrying about getting that perfect looking pie, right? Or that perfect looking cake. I think being more approachable is just something that's going to resonate more with people. So if you don't have the perfect looking pie, just still shoot it anyways. Like I do it all the time.
Yeah. No, I think that's something we all need to hear. The perfectionism thing seeps into all our bones occasionally.
Yeah, I know, and I have the perfection gene a little bit, but I just feel like with food, it's like nothing is ever perfect,
I
and I think
know.
that's part of the beauty of it too. Where it's like, yeah, I see these perfect cakes and perfect pies on Instagram, but I'm like, who actually is making those?
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
It's like it's not the reality of it. It's like, and even as a professional baker, and I baked thousands and thousands of pies, and like I know how to bake a pie. I'm a professional at it, but it's not going to be 100% perfect every single time. Like the juices, the berries, you might get on your pie crust a little bit. It's totally
Yeah.
fine.
Right. And showing that,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think showing that is a good thing, and I think
people appreciate it. People appreciate seeing the real life. Well, thank you for joining us, Mimi, and for sharing your incredible story. I loved hearing about everything that, I don't know, that's translated and hasn't translated and how your experience all went. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We'll put together a show notes page for you. So if anyone wants to go look at those, we'll put all of our notes from today. You can head to eatblogtalk.com/Mimi's Organic Eats. Tell everyone where they can find you, and then also the pricing offering that you mentioned. Do you want to talk
Yes.
about that again too?
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me at mimisorganiceats.com and on Instagram, obviously, Mimi's Organic Eats and YouTube as well. Love for you to come join me on YouTube. It's so fun over there. And then my guide that I was talking about is called How to Price Baked Goods to Actually Make Money, a step-by-step guide. And so I walk you guys through exactly how to cost out your baked goods, how you can be successful if you want to start a bakery, even just like a home baking business. You just want to make, birthday cakes here and there, but you want to charge your friends a fair price. I think that's like a really hard thing too. Being a food blogger, I'm sure people get asked all the time, like, can you make me a birthday cake? Can you do this? Like, and you want to say yes, right? But at the same time, if you're not making it for your blog, or if you are, but you can't cut into it,
Yeah.
right? Because like I've like glued cakes back together, for friends' birthdays where it's like I cut a slice for photos or
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
And
Yeah.
I frosted it back together and I brought it to the party.
I've done that.
I'm sure everyone's done that, right? But sometimes it's like fun to just make a birthday cake too, and it's not something that you want to share on your blog, but it's a fun thing to do. But you still want to just make a little extra side hustle. It's a great guide, and I'm always here if people have questions. It's something I'm super passionate about, and there's like super easy, like literally template spreadsheets. You plug and play
Oh,
stuff
great.
in. So
Cool.
super super fun, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Well,
But yeah.
everyone go check that out. Thank you. Again, Mimi, for being here, and thank you for listening, food bloggers. I will see you next time.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this topic, be sure to watch the video shown on the screen. See you next time.